Hello friends. So today once again I am with you all with a very important topic of English grammar. Modal verbs. Yes, sometimes people call them modal verbs as well, but usually it is modal verbs. I always request you not to focus very much on pronunciation, because pronunciation is having a backseat these days, because the non-native speakers of English are more than the native speakers of English in the world. So which pronunciation we should follow, has become a big question. So whatever your pronunciation, it should be clear and precise and easily understandable to native and non-native speakers. So it is either modal verbs, although I call it modal verbs, but people call it modal verbs as well. Don't worry about that. So modal verbs, why they are called modal verbs and auxiliary verbs? Number one, and what are these? Number one, these are can, could, may, might, shall, should, must, ought to. These are some of the important modal verbs. Why they are called modal verbs? Because they depict some mode of doing something or the modality of doing something. That's why they are called modal verbs or modal verbs. And secondly, why they are called auxiliary verbs? Auxiliary means helping. They help the main verb, the finite verb, or the infinitive without to. So we'll take an example sentence, and through this example sentence I'll put all the helping verbs or the modal verbs here and then show you how they have different connotations and annotations. So for example, I'll take I walk. This is a simple two-word sentence, I walk. Now let's put one by one all the auxiliary verbs here. I can walk, I could walk, I may walk, I might walk, I will walk, I shall walk, I ought to walk, I must walk. So all these, see, just one sentence and you can put. So this example shows that these modal verbs can be put with the first form of the verb, and sometimes they have their two forms, sometimes they have just one form. Like must has just one form and it does not have a past form, but sometimes they have past form as well. So can, could, may, might, will, would, and sometimes shall, should also, though it's not exactly. I'll tell you more. So let's begin. I can walk. Can means maybe two or three things. Capacity of walking. I can walk means I have the ability, I have two legs, so I can walk. Maybe unfortunately somebody does not have legs, so cannot walk. So I can walk. I have the intention also of walking, so I can walk. And then may. May has the probability or sometimes the permission for giving and taking permission, possibility also. So I may walk, although I don't want, but I may walk. I don't want, but I may walk. That's it. It may rain, possibility. It may, sometimes we say it may be possible, although it's not grammatically very good sentence. Usually with weather we use rain because it's probable only. Permissions. May I come in? May I have your pen please? May I go now? You may go now. So permission, taking and giving permissions. Could is the past form of can. I could walk. In the past, with the same sense of capacity or ability. In the past I could walk, but now I have pain in my leg, so I cannot walk now. I could walk. He could write very well, but unfortunately he has forgotten everything, so he cannot. He could. Could is also used for polite request in present. For example, could you give me that book please? Could you pass that spoon please? Some conversational English. Might. Might is the past form of may, also used in the past. So it might rain, but it did not. I might walk, but I did not. And sometimes might is also used for a probability in the present on the basis of some reasoning. Although it's not very common, but sometimes we use. It is 6 o'clock. He usually sits in his office up to 7 o'clock. So he might be in his office because it's 6. So some logical reasoning sort of thing, we use might. Then shall, will, should and would. First I'll take will. Will and shall both denote future, the intention of doing something. I will walk. In future I have the intention of walking. I shall walk actually gives some sort of compulsion, although usually will is used for all the persons except I and we, and shall is used with I and we. So we shall overcome someday, we have a song like this. So but in legal terms, whenever shall is used, it is binding. So when we say in the Constitution of India, we say the state shall do this thing for the welfare of the citizens. That means the state must do, has to do. I'll come to must also. So in that sense it is used. Would again is the past form of will. When you convert sentences from direct narration to indirect narration, you use would instead of will. And would is sometimes used for again polite request in conversational English. For example, would you give me that pen please? I would walk. I had the intention of walking sometimes. So I would. Very rarely it is also used as the discontinued habits of past, like used to. I would walk in the evenings. I don't now. Shall, very rarely it is used as the second form of should is rarely used as the second form of shall. It is usually used in the sense of compulsion, normal compulsions. Normal duties, for example, you should take your medicine. I should take my medicines in time. That's my duty, that I should do this. I must take my medicines, that means compulsion, obligation. Otherwise, there is always a sense of otherwise which is hidden in with the must. You must pay your fee in time. Otherwise, I should take medicines in time. I must take my medicines in time. So there is always a forcefulness in the must, whereas in the use of should, forcefulness is not there. That is the difference between should and must. Somebody has written to me and through email, and somebody has sent me a WhatsApp message as well. The difference between should and must. So must is sort of compulsion, should is not compulsion, it's ordinary. And then we have ought to in the same sense. You ought to worship God. That's usually moral and religious duties. You ought to obey your elders. Sometimes we don't obey, although we must, I should say. But it's usually used ought to. And to is the integral part of ought. So it's ought to. So I think I have covered all modal verbs in this short video for you. So I always say and insist and request all of you who watch my videos for learning. So there are many people who just watch my videos because they are my friends. So thank you very much for watching my videos. Some people, they watch my videos because they want to give me feedback, constructive feedback. So thank you very much. And some people, some students, some learners, they want to watch my videos for learning. So for all those who want to watch my videos for learning, I always request you that language learning is based on practice. It's no use just learning the use of grammar, cramming the use of grammar, mugging up the grammar and just doing nothing with that. We need to we need to need to is actually another auxiliary verbs. I did not tell you. So in some other video I'll cover these need to, needn't, and other some rarely used, also used to. So we need to use grammar in day-to-day conversation. We need to practice in as it is done in the real life conversation. Then only there is the use of grammar. Otherwise, there is no use of grammar, because a language generates grammar. Grammar does not generate a language. Grammar keeps on changing. The rules 20 years back were forceful, are no more forceful. For example, the use of infinitive, split infinitive. I'll tell you more about it in some other video. So 20, 25, 30 years back, split infinitive was supposed to be a bad English. Now it's supposed to be good English. For example, I would kindly, I wish to, sorry, the split infinitive is when you put something between to and the first form of the verb. So I request you to kindly look. To look is actually the infinitive, but you split it to kindly look into the matter. So it's a good English these days. It's an example of a good English. So language evolves, grammar evolves, grows. Language is always dynamic. So please keep on using grammar rules in day-to-day English, in day-to-day conversation, in real life situations. Only then it will help you. Otherwise it is of no help just mugging up the rules of grammar. So thank you very much. Some homework for you. Kindly use these modal verbs which were shown to you earlier in your own sentences in some real life situations, and you can send it to me, or you can consult anybody you feel like, or you can consult your teachers. You can consult a good book. Usually some people have asked me what grammar book I usually consult. So I consult Wren and Martin, I consult J.C. Naisfield. J.C. Naisfield is my master actually. And then we have Martinet also, we have Pennior also, Raymond and Murphy also. So these books I have and usually consult them for grammar rules. And then we have YouTube, Google, Wikipedia, all these things. You can use them also for grammar. So keep on learning, keep on shining, keep on growing. And as always, like the video, subscribe the channel, and share it with others who may need it or who may want it. Thank you very much for watching. Have a nice time. Bye.